Hello there. This is Grandpa Lloyd. This is actually going to be a storytelling day. Yeah, I got a big one. One of my favorites, though. Widow Molly. Yeah. It's so long, I'm going to have to do it in two parts. Actually, the story's not that long, but the introduction to this story is twice as long as the story. So just sit down, sit back, and relax, will you? This is part one. We'll do part one, part two after my nap, maybe. I don't know, or maybe tomorrow. I love stories. And people ask me, Lloyd, you always say these are true stories. Is that true? Are they really a true story? Yeah. Every song I write, every story I tell is an absolutely true story. But it may not be about the same person or the same situation. You see, it's a conglomeration of many people that I've met while living in the Appalachian Mountains, or some people call it Appalachian Mountains or something like that. These are people I met. And I've heard the same stories over and over and over again from different people in different circumstances, but they're almost always the same, though. People are always the same no matter where you live, I guess. And so sometimes I take bits and pieces and I put it together and I make one story out of it. But it's all true, okay? Except maybe Widow Molly has a little bit on the end that I kind of put on just to make me feel good. So we'll deal with that later. But I got to give you some background. I told you I lived in North Carolina, on the way up in the mountains, on the western edge of it. I lived in a little town called Brevard, and that was right there at Etowah, which was the Etowah Indians. It wasn't too far from Hendersonville, which is a very familiar place in North Carolina, which was about 30 miles from Asheville, which people say is the San Francisco of the east, of the mountains. I don't know. But anyways, that's where I lived. I was in a gospel band. Now I'm in trouble. I stumble over that. Because some people called it a gospel bluegrass band. Well, we were lousy at bluegrass. No, we were no good. We were a gospel band. We were actually a hillbilly band, if you want to know the truth. This old guy from the north, he played the bass. Boom, 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 boom. Well, so it's only got 4 strings. You only play one note at a time. How easy can that be, right? Yeah, but he sang the high wailing tempo, you know. Way down in that mountain. Yeah, he sang that high wailing part that everybody hates. People say, hey, where did Yankee learn all this stuff? Believe it or not, I grew up with it on a farm in Wisconsin. Oh, there. Fact, along the Mississippi River, yeah, they grew tobacco. Yeah, get there, learn that. You're not just the only ones down here sitting in the South without any teeth thinking you're tobacco growers. No, we had them up outside of La Crosse, Wisconsin. Fay Allen was a tobacco grower farmer. Oh, I love Fay Allen. Someday I'll tell you a story about Fay Allen. Well, anyways, I was living down there in the mountains at the way at the western end, and in the mountains, as you know, run all the way down to the corner of where Georgia and North Carolina, and I don't know what else all comes together down there in a little town called Franklin. Franklin, North Carolina. Everybody knows about Franklin. That's the ruby center of the United States. Oh yeah, the rubies. You want to find a ruby, you go to Franklin. Franklin was the first gold mine center in America. That's right. A lot of gold pulled out of Franklin, North Carolina. And I've seen it. I had a good friend down there, Coggins. Yeah. He showed me a hunk of gold that he found in his creek. Yeah, there's gold down there, guys. You don't see much gold mining down there anymore because someone said, hey, you got to go to Colorado. Colorado's where all the gold is. And so everybody moved out of Franklin, North Carolina and went to Colorado. Oh, yeah, it was a big boom until someone out there said, hey, you got to go to California. That's where the real gold is. And I got to go to, well, anyways, in Franklin. But Franklin did stay as a ruby center. And I've seen big, beautiful rubies, and I've seen little rubies that people had found down there. And if you go to Franklin, you can go walk down the main street of Franklin, and they sell buckets of dirt. Oh, yeah. Nothing like buying a bucket of dirt. That's more like gravel. You pay $5 for, I don't know what it is now, but you pay $5 for this bucket. You carry it over to a place where they have a sludge, or I don't know what they call that. It's a water thing running down a wood ramp, you know. And you put your sludge in there, and then you get your little pan, and the water's running, and you start looking for the gold. Yeah. You see, that gravel was dug out of the mountain someplace by some pretty clever people who brought down gravel, sold it to you, and you could pan for jewels. Well, I've seen gold, I've seen rubies, I've seen opals, I've seen any number of stones come out of that. So most of them are little gravelly things. Yeah. But I had a buddy down there. He had a belt buckle as big as this, and it was a ruby that he found down there. That's right. And then next door to the guy who sells you the bucket of dirt, there's a guy there, and now am I ever going to get to the story? So what? And he sells you. He's a I don't know what they call that. He cuts the stones. They got a little machine, and they put it in a machine, and boy, it's a very skillful art. And they got little blades in there, that little machine, and they go. And they have a little graph there. Here's all different kinds of cuttings, you know, of stones. And you could have one that's shaped like this, just shaped like that, and then it would. He cuts the stone. Then you take it home, and you polish it, and polish it, and polish it, and polish it. And when you're done, you polish it some more, and you polish it. And what you're going to end up is a beautiful, beautiful ruby. Well, it's more like this, but nevertheless. That's in Franklin, North Carolina. That's right. And then you go north and up through the mountains out of Franklin, North Carolina, and you come right into the Cherokee country. Oh, man, Cherokee people are beautiful. I tell you what, they are the sweetest people in the world. You know, they were farmers back in 1833, but then the government decided that they needed land for real farmers, and they didn't buy their land for the farms, and they just settled on it, and they needed to sell land to farmers, and Cherokee couldn't afford to buy the land, so they moved them. Yeah, you look up. Remember that little doll I had about this big? Was a corn husk doll? Yeah, that was a Cherokee doll. A story about the young girl that was moved over all the way out of Tennessee and North Carolina and Kentucky, and then moved all the way across the great Mississippi River to her new home, which was a reservation. And I thought, okay. Well, anyways, that's Cherokee. Now, let's say you keep going north on Cherokee. Now, right about now, you've got it figured out that you're on the Appalachian Trail. That's right. The Appalachian Trail runs all the way down there from Franklin, runs right on the top of the mountains, and just keeps running north. I'll tell you how far it goes. If you ever want to talk to somebody that's ever been on the Appalachian Trail and walked the full length, we have a fella here in Door County that has walked the entire trail. And I don't feel at liberty to give you his name, but if you contact me, I'll contact him. And believe me, for any of your organizations, in fact, you should get the whole bunch of people together, put them on Zoom, and let him tell you the story about walking the Appalachian Trail. He lives right up here in Ellison Bay. Or whatever, maybe it's the other way, whatever it is. Okay? But anyway, let's keep on going. Before you know, you're going up in the mountain, and you're going to go, oh yeah, and then you're going to come to a great big mountain called Cold Mountain. Yeah, C-O-L-D, Cold Mountain. A famous mountain. Yeah. There's a lot of stories about Cold Mountain, and that's where I happen to believe my friend Widow Molly lived on Cold Mountain. Yeah, there's a book written about Cold Mountain. It was written by a fellow by the name of Charles Fraser. Fraser. Frazier. It's a World War, no, what a World War, come on, Lloyd. You're having problems up here. It's a story out of the Civil War. So, it's not a happy story. It's not a real feel-good story. if you're sitting there honkered up in an apartment, you're all alone, and you're kind of lonely, and you're worried about this virus getting at you, don't read this book. No. But if you just want some good reading, and it's interesting because the story that it's based on is a historically accurate story. I don't think the story of him going home, but what drove him to go home is accurately true. It took place in the Civil War. But anyways, Charles Fraser. Get the book, read it. There's been a movie on it. That's right. The movie was out many years ago. You could probably get it on Netflix, but I wouldn't watch it if I was you. If you were sitting home all alone worried about the virus. All right, let's go on. Well, let's say the mountain keeps going, right? That whole mountain range just keeps right on going. And did you know that when the states were divided up, the people who lived in that mountain range wanted their own state? They even had a name for it. I don't remember what it was. And if you look it up on the internet or someplace, you're going to find that they tried to name that whole area their own state. You see, they didn't want to be associated with the eastern part of North Carolina because they knew that that was going to grow into be a big, a lot of people, big, whatever they are, big towns. They wanted to be known right there in their little community as a separate state. It kind of reminds me how they would like to have, many would like to have Washington Island as its own state, or a part of Michigan, or whatever. People are never satisfied. It never happened, although they do still talk about it. The people in western North Carolina still tell the people in eastern North Carolina, we want our own state. Yeah. Well, anyways, what more fun is that, huh? But anyways, they still talk about it. Well, the mountains keep going north. The Appalachian Trail keeps going north. Whoa, up over one mountain, over Cold Mountain. Yeah. And it ends up in Maine. Maine. From all the way down here, where did I say it was? You know that little town down here, all the way up to Maine. And then it runs under the ocean. You want to see the Appalachian Mountains next, you have to go to Greenland. That's the Appalachian Mountains. If you want to see more of them, just keep going. You go to Iceland. That's the Appalachian Mountains. Did you know that? That's the same mountain range. That's right. Now, if you really want to see more of that, just keep going all the way to Norway. That's right. It ends up, goes in by Bergen and then goes across Norway and then comes down to Oslo. Yeah, and there down in Oslo it ends. Yeah, right by Holmenkollen. Right, it's great ski jumps, down there in Holmenkollen and in Oslo, and that's where it ends. Now, if you're in Franklin, North Carolina, if you're anywhere along the way, if you're downtown Oslo, you say to yourself, whoa, this sure looks like Franklin. Or you may say, Franklin, this sure looks like Oslo. Because it's the same mountain range. Now, I'm not going to hit anybody over big black Bibles. But you tell me there is no God. All right, but anyways, that's the Appalachian Mountains. All along the way, there are stories. You've already heard one about the little doll. The next one is about Widow Molly. Only one more comment before I move on to Widow Molly. There's something you have, Widow Molly. You have to understand. This is a very important point. Not necessarily to my story, a very important point to the mountains. All through that Appalachian mountain area, all the way down there through those mountains. They got themselves snarled up horribly in the Civil War. And most of those people didn't even have slaves. They didn't have, they just wanted to be left alone on their couple acres of land. These folks, they don't want to meddle in all kinds of politics. They just want to farm their little acre of land. And so when the war broke out, half the families joined the North. The other half joined the South. It turned into a horrible, horrible bloodshed with family against family. And when I was down there, I not only sensed it, I saw it, and I felt it. In some families, the war is still raging. So what is that war? What was that war like? Go back and read Cold Mountain. That's what it was like. When the North and the South came together on the same plot of land and fought each other. That's all I'm going to say today, guys. It's part 2 of Widow Molly. But the reason I had to end with this is what happens when a situation comes into our life that divides us. Madison County today is still known as Bloody Madison County. It's horrible. Family against family, fighting as to which side of the Civil War they felt they should be on. Which side of the battle are you on today? Has our country divided into a battle line? Which side are you on? One side not listening to the other. One side not talking to the other. But they're all sitting on the same mountain, just trying to grow food to feed their families. It was never healed after the Civil War. You can still sense it, you can still see it, and you can hear them talk about it. The bottom line, it's not healed. How are we going to heal our great division? Here we talk about a mighty mountain that was created that reached all the way from North Carolina down to Norway and underwater and over the top of land, and this beautiful, beautiful mountain. And God created that through pushing things together, I guess. And that didn't heal a simple little thing like two families agreeing which side of the battle line they should stand on. Boy, this story time went totally off the rails. Sorry about. I promise you, next time we're going to talk about Widow Molly.